athletes on the field. This tournament features the nation's top 6th, 7th, and 8th graders from 40 regions across the country in a single elimination format that ends right here in Naples, Florida. The championship game is played today and will crown the nation's top youth teams. With more than 5,000 athletes from around the country expected to compete in this national championship, we welcome you to today's championship game matchup against Ohio and Team Maryland. Before we announce today's teams, we want to congratulate all of these fine athletes for being selected to their state and regional team. Selections to these all-star teams was conducted by local coaches, scouts, or by tryout. More than 10,000 athletes were considered, but few were selected. For these selected athletes, they represent the best of the best. Congratulations and good luck, athletes. Remember, cheer for your team, not against your opponent. And let's welcome our visiting team to the sidelines, Team Maryland. FBU would like to thank our valued sponsors. KB3 Sports is the official title sponsor of the 2023 FBU National Championship. The KB3 Sports app is all-inclusive sports platform designed to connect athletes, coaches, and recruiters by providing verified data that can be filtered, sorted, and ranked by position, sport, and region. Get started today by creating your official KB3 Sport profile and have access to the world's only profile page that updates your stats in real time. Visit kb3sports.com to learn more and get started today. Gatorade, Football University National Championship participants. When we all play, we all win. Gatorade is committed to giving millions their chance to get in the game. Together we can fuel tomorrow. For our athletes who give everything, nothing beats Gatorade. Now let's welcome your home team, Ohio, to the sidelines. Now that all the players are on the field, let's give a large round of applause to the ones that make this possible for you, the people in the stands, your parents, family, and friends. Let's give them a round of applause. Family and friends, thank you for your support of the FBU National Championship powered by KB3 Sports.
We welcome you back to the Paradise Coast Sports Complex Stadium. Neil Sika with FBU's player football development leader, Anthony Williams. We're here to have some fun for the 8th grade FBU National Championship. And Maryland and Ohio in what should be a doozy for the marquee matchup here in Bowl Week. Maryland trying to win their first 8th grade title since 2016. In Ohio, the uprising the last few years. It's been impressive, Anthony. 6th grade, they lost in the final 2 years ago. 7th graders won it last year. And now an 8th grade team under the direction of Ted Ginn Jr., the 3-time All-American and 14-year NFL vet, trying to get a team that's been mostly Cleveland-based but expanded all across Ohio to bring home the hardware.
I had Ted Ginn, this group, 2 years ago when they were 6th graders out in Seattle in that region. And I was very impressed with him and his dad and what they've done, especially with the kids, not just on the field, Neil, but what they're doing with these kids off the field also. So a lot of love and respect for the Ginn family and what they're building here with this FBU team.
Ted Ginn Sr., his dad, a huge legacy in the Cleveland area, coaching Glenville High School, where they've won back-to-back state championships in Division IV. Maryland will receive. They're in the red jerseys, Ohio in the white. They won the toss but deferred. And Amir Lemons, who was a finalist for Middle School Player of the Year, gets us started here in the 8th grade game, kicking it off. The ferocity with which these guys will play will be the best thing that you've seen all week. Santana Williams taking it on the kickoff. He will take it out over the 30-yard line and a penalty marker down. I think we've had that in all 3 of our championship games, Anthony.
Yep. Kids getting a little jacked up, getting a little early, but they'll settle down here and settle the game.
Jeff Sponseller is our referee. Now this Ohio team, GMSA beat them in the 6th grade level in 2021. The 7th graders taking the championship last year. They beat Dallas and SoCal. That SoCal game was pretty close. Won by 4 in the semifinal. Maryland's route to the championship, 24-19 over UMass in the quarters. They beat GFL, a staple. You see Ted Ginn Jr. watching his team re-kick, and we're underway in the 8th grade FBU National Championship. It's Santana Williams. And there's more laundry on the field. Similar spot on the kickoff to where he returns it, around the 35. And this, what appeared to be a hold and then a block below the waist. Yep. Or a tackle below the waist.
Block below the waist.
Yep.
Oh.
And it's on Ohio. Trying to take that element out of the game, going low. It's just so hard with the speed of how these guys play sometimes. You know, in FBU for years, Anthony, you know they've taught the appropriate technique, and the debate on whether you take kickoffs out of the game, it's been pretty stagnant in the NFL, but it's such an exciting play.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on that. I mean, I'm old school. I think it should be part of the game. There's just, you have to teach the right way. There's technique to keep safety.
All right, here we go. Offense for Maryland. The 8th graders are out there. Carter Daly is the quarterback. Swings to the flat on the first play from scrimmage, and Keith Miller will run out of bounds.
Number 7, Keith Miller, brings it to the far side. It's going to be chased out of bounds.
Both these teams, I've heard the scouting report, very potent on offense. A lot of athletes, a lot of speed, and very physical. So this should be a very exciting 8th grade game to close out the 2023 National Championship.
Miller got a yard. There's some big personnel on those lines of scrimmage, both offense and defense. It's Daly. He'll hand through the middle. And slashing his way into the hole is Nasir Johnson. And Johnson's got about 3 more. Bring up a 3rd down and call it 6 for Maryland on the opening drive, so that hit below the waist, benefiting the field position of Maryland. These 8th graders who won it behind Antoine Littleton in that physical style back in 2016 when they beat a cast of future stars in Seattle. Emeka Ibuka, JT Tuimoloau, and Paulo Banchero went on to become the #1 pick in the NBA draft. That was 8 seasons ago. Opening drive. Johnson again on the give. Nothing through the middle. Jamari Backus. There's still a heavy contingent who are part of both the 6th and 7th grade teams for Ohio that came through the brackets the last 2 years. 4th down and 5.
Full changes up personnel for Ohio defense here. That last play, they came out in straight cover 0. Ted Ginn showing his NFL knowledge. No safety on top, and Maryland didn't adjust, trying to throw the ball, ran right into the heat of it. They had 9 guys in the box, so this will be interesting to watch. This will be a chess match.
So, the quandary over whether to play or punt. And right now it looks like Daly has the offense out and 3 wide receivers to the near side of your screen. Opening possession of the football game. Daly got out of a traffic jam and completing it to the far side, out of bounds for the first down. Stephon DeCarlo Rogers slipped a tackle and moves the sticks.
Good job by the quarterback there. The play was meant to go roll left. Had some pressure in his face, rolls back. No, he's got a receiver in the backside. Receiver did a good job, what we call the fire drill. Came back to help his quarterback out, slips a tackle, gets first down, move the chains for Maryland.
They convert the 4th down play, and Maryland has it at the 29. Their head coach, Terrence Bird, involved with this program for over a decade and a half. Helped coach the 7th grade team to the title back in 2012. Slashing run off that far side, and down to the 15 with speed goes Johnson.
Really good surge by Maryland's offensive line there. Huge hole, and that running back attacked the hole. No dancing there. Got the ball, hit with the gear number 4, and just picked up a big 12 yards there.
Nasir Johnson, he is a one-cut-and-go fella. Will really make you miss in the hole, and he's already exuded some of that skill on this drive. Converting a 4th down. Now they're on the march to the Ohio 15. Feels like an AFC North showdown here in the 8th grade FBU National Championship. They go big personnel, motion in front. Johnson through the middle, near the goal line, but a flag came in from behind the play. It's usually in the indication of holding, and it is.
Holding against Maryland.
So we're coming back. Maryland.
I'm sure a lot of people are watching this game going, oh, my God, those are 8th graders? I could tell you, for somebody who played the game at the highest levels, when I was in 8th grade, 5'9", 160. These kids are just bigger and stronger and faster.
You fit right in that 10U game, wouldn't you?
Right.
Yeah. But I think that is the thing that raises the most eyebrows when you can see the crop of talent and the FBU ability to find these players, whether it be through the camps through the years or various forms of the path to Naples, these all-star teams. It's mesmerizing to see. This is a varsity level football game.
Absolutely.
Swung to the outside. That's incomplete. Brandon Wills Dixon, who's the load in the backfield, but he hasn't had a carry yet because Johnson's been moving so well. They bring on new personnel, does Ohio. It is 2nd down and 20. They can get a first down inside the 5.
Well, on that point, even when you're not, that's the thing I love about football now. If you're not big, you can still play this game. As long as you've got quickness
Sure.
and speed and you're twitchy, you can still play this game.
Just saw Linnell Watson. He's been battling an ankle injury. The mountain of a defensive lineman. 3 minutes gone here in the first quarter. That pass ripped to the end zone and batted down. Cordell Scott Jr. came over from the safety spot to save a touchdown. Keith Miller, the intended target on the pass from Carter Daly.
Cordell showed good range there. I wonder if he would have went with 2 hands. He may have picked that thing off and still be running right now. But a lot of these kids trying to pull the OBJ catch now. But good defense there to get the PBU.
Keith Miller goes by Cam. You've got DeCarlo Rogers, Javion Plaza, the three amigos for the Maryland receiving corps. They face a 3rd and 20 at the Ohio 25, opening possession of the game. Wills Dixon really carried and ran roughshod over GFL in the semifinal in the backfield. And the exchange on the delay is coughed up. Carter Daly got back on it, but it was always going for a loss. He tried to give that late on the RPO, and Wills Dixon wasn't ready.
Was not at all. Wasn't expecting the ball at all. That could have been disastrous. Good job by the QB getting back on the ball and saving the series.
So it's 4th down. And no gain. The Ohio defense looking for a big stop. A 4-wide set. Carter Daly, resilient quarterback, leading Maryland. They converted their last 4th down. Needs a lot here. Not going anywhere, and the ball came out. A fumble that's picked up by Amir Lemons, who will run on out of bounds. There was a penalty that comes out after it's all said and done.
Look at this play here, Neil. Great cover 2 coverage here by the secondary, which caused the sack and the pressure. Levin picks it up and runs it back, and I think there was a late hit on the sidelines over there. That's going to be on Ohio, I think.
So Ohio will take over. And a personal foul that goes on Maryland at the end of the play.
Foul against Maryland, 15 yards.
Wow. Big play on defense with a penalty, completely flips the field, and now Ohio will get the ball in really good field position, all the way down to the, what is that, about the 38-yard line.
Ohio set up shop at Maryland's 37-yard line. First and 10.
So this goes all the way to the Maryland 37. So they turn it over on downs. That was going nowhere, and then the fumble adds more to the Ohio profit after the defense does the job. And now they bring out Elvis Koustakis. This quarterback was the signal caller on the 7th grade championship team. He'll motion Jalen Edwards into the backfield with him. Koustakis. Little counter that they'll run up inside. Looking to give a heavy dose of Jamal Goodson. They've got 2 good threats in that Ohio backfield, but Maryland's got some beef in the middle.
Love the call. Love the counter. I'm a big counter guy. I was good. Show motion the other way. Come back with your fullback, who they're probably not expecting to touch the ball in the very first play. Pick up 4 yards. Now you're playing in front of the chains. Good call by Ohio.
Is Ayaya Bray, the first in pursuit for Maryland on the tackle. Gain of 4. 2nd and 6. Amir Lemons, he's isolated on the far side of your screen. He's the one to watch. Middle School Player of the Year finalist, and while they watch him, they give to Goodson, and he'll slash his way to the Maryland 21 for a first down.
Once again, counter again after the motion. Great run by number 2. Got hit by the turf monster there.
Yeah, the slippery surface. Dusk setting in. And Ted Ginn Jr. trying to get the personnel correct out in that Ohio offensive huddle. Elijah Harris will check in, and Jaquan Gibson will step out.
Big size difference between the Ohio offensive line and Maryland's D line, but once again, at this level, sometimes it doesn't always make a difference.
And that was one of the noticeable things in their 6th grade championship, and through the evolution. They want to get bigger up front, offensively and defensively. They've had the skill guys. Creeping forward for 3 and 4 yards is the run by Harris. And they feel that Elijah Harris, while he's new to the program, he's got a chance to be Mr. Ohio football down the road. They think he's that good. Wears 13 in white. He'll check out right now.
Well, if anybody knows, because of Ted Ginn Jr.'s experience in the NFL, you can have all the great skill position, but if you're not winning up front, you can't get them the ball. So he's done a good job of getting some beef up there up front, and they're doing a really good job moving line of scrimmage.
Koustakis on 2nd and 7. Off the hands of Lemons. Usually a ball he'd probably come up with, but outside his range. And you're going to hear about a lot about Amir Lemons over the next 4 years. Number 11 in white.
Incomplete pass, going to bring up 3rd down and 7.
Koustakis got to slow down a little bit. He rushed that ball a little bit on that stop route. He's got to set his feet. That'll give him more accuracy. That should have been a completion.
Amir Lemons was playing quarterback when this team was at the 6th grade level, just using him in an athlete role. Just outside of 3 minutes remaining in a swift-moving first quarter. 8th grade national championship. Koustakis, too strong in the flat. He rushed that throw. The pressure was coming up through the middle, out of the range of Goodson.
He's going to bring up 4th down and 7.
So it is 4th down, and the Maryland defense gets a much-needed hold. And that's one thing you alluded to it last game, the special teams playing big dividends for Utah on their way to a 17-6 victory. Kicked a 40-yard field goal. Ohio really doesn't operate with a kicker. Let's go or go home. It's a timeout here
Timeout on the field, Ohio.
for the boys from the Buckeye State. And they'll discuss it. 6 teams for the guy in that black hoodie in the middle.
Bill, you mentioned it for you youth coaches out there watching this game. If you want to improve your team, escalate them to the next level, go watch some of these soccer games. Go find you a kicker. I mean, there's so many soccer teams out there right now. Right now, with Ohio, going for the 4th and 7, if they had a kicker that could kick it, I mean, in a championship game, you take the points whenever you can get them. And Neil and I saw that in the last game where Utah had a tremendous kicker who kicked a 40-yarder. So youth coaches, take the time when you're recruiting, go visit some soccer games and find you a kicker. It will make a difference in your special teams.
Doesn't the Rubio kicking school put them on trees? I mean, they're
everywhere.
They're everywhere. Go find one. All right, at the 18, it's 4th and 8 for Ohio. Showing blitz. Koustakis under duress. Got outside the pocket, threw it into traffic. It falls incomplete. Might have been picked anyway in the end.
Pass downfield is going to be broken up by number 8.
DeWale Smith did a great job in coverage. Nearly came up with the interception.
Turnover on down.
It'll go back to Maryland. So each team, you can call a fumble on Maryland, but it was also turning it over on 4th down. And the covered corner on the boundary did well.
Interesting that both teams' first series moved the ball down there, got in the red zone, and things kind of went sideways. So let's see if Maryland will be able to finish a drive here on their second series.
DeWale Smith broke up that pass for Maryland, gives the offense the football back. And they look to go a little wildcat for the first time today. Saw this a lot in the semifinal with Wills Dixon. And he is a load, and he's got 11 yards on his first big carry out to the 30-yard line, and a Maryland first down.
It's a nice read by Wills here. Sees a gap, goes to it. Big man's going downhill, running north to south. I'm not trying to make you miss. I'm just going to run you over. Great job.
Takes a high snap again. They stay in this formation. Just lugs the ball out to the 35. You need 3 or 4 guys to seemingly bring down those churning legs. And reminiscent of Antoine Littleton back in 2016, who's Had about 5 or 6 years of college ball with COVID. He's at the University of Maryland now. 2nd and 5. Jaquan Gibson a little battered in helping to make the stop. He comes off to the sideline. They put 8 in the box, does Ohio. Gibson forward for 3 more, but there's a flag in the back, and this one's coming back.
Like the idea that Maryland's coming out kind of giving Ohio a different look. Running a little bit of the wildcat, just giving it to the big man here. Kind of caught them off guard. This penalty's going to slow them down a little bit, though.
Back to the 25.
Still in wildcat personnel.
10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Wills Dixon. He runs inside the tackles. This is an old reference, but he's looking like Marion Motley when he carries the ball.
Just keeps his legs driving. He's a tough guy to tackle, but his leg drive is getting some extra yards. He's falling down for 4 yards every time.
I mean, that's a 90-year-old reference for those who are real fans of the game. And the Hall of Famer, former Cleveland Brown.
5-yard gain on the last play is going to bring up 3rd down and 10.
So most of the penalty they get back. It's 3rd and 10, though, and Carter Daly returns to the Maryland huddle.
I'm noticing Ohio, Ted Ginn Jr., they've got a whole different package on 3rd and long. Their nickel package. Got a little bit smaller, faster linemen. They've got 5 or 6 DBs in the game. They've shown some depth here.
Penalty marker flies in.
Pre-snap penalty. You just anticipate all those guys rushing, and you rock in just the slightest motion, and it costs you 5 yards.
Well, the thing now, everybody's watching the Cowboys and listening to Dak going, here we go, and he finally told the story about that when he says, here we go, that tells his lineman, hey, everybody settle down. Let's not hurt ourselves here. And so I think you're going to see a lot of that no matter what term people use, because it's very effective for Dallas to make sure that everybody is set before the play is snapped.
You're referencing the Sunday night game a couple weeks ago against the Eagles, and they told that story in the first quarter, and then I couldn't get it out of my head because you just heard it on every moment. Yeah. Usually you're able to ignore stuff like that, and then it just sticks with you. 3 receivers far side. Daly on 3rd and 15. Oh. Out to the flat, and what a run for the first down. For the second time, they find Cam Miller. Well, the coverage had sagged off, and then Miller slicing through, but there's a hold in the backfield. It's coming back.
Miller made a tremendous shoestring catch before he got the yak after the play here to get the first down. Unfortunately, it's all for naught, but a great catch by that young man.
So the Maryland O-line is putting it in neutral, or stuck in neutral with these penalties, and the infractions make it 3rd and 25. They need to get to the 40. The ball at the 15.
Once again, 3rd and long, so you're getting a good look at Ohio's personnel here. They're in a dime package right now. A lot of smaller bodies who can run and cover the ball here and get some pressure on the quarterback.
Potential to be the last play of the first quarter. Daly looking long. Great adjustment to the football. It's gone. Falling out of bounds to Carlo Rogers. They pick up 26 on 3rd and 25 against a double team by the Ohio defense.
Ohio's in 2 deep zone there, and unfortunately safety made a good play, but he got caught with his own man. He was trying to decide, do I undercut that ball or go on top? His own man ran into him. He couldn't get there and left a window open for the receiver to make the catch. That's a huge pickup on 3rd down.
Massive conversion on 3rd and 25 at their own 15. Maryland finds a gleam of daylight, and we find the second quarter here in Naples. The 8th grade FBU National Championship, scoreless after 1 between Ohio and Maryland. Start of the second quarter here in Southwest Florida, Collier County, the Paradise Coast Stadium. This magnificent sports complex. Great Wolf Lodge going to be added and ready by the summer. The indoor water park, and with all the youth sports that come in and out, it just makes the environment that much more special to visit. See the Maryland coaching staff. Terrence Bird was the associate head coach at St. Joe's, and his youth team Miami Heat, which he helped brings along. Maryland Metro and Maryland, the two organizations and clubs that competed for many years against each other in the national championship, have combined forces and helped get them back to this stage of football in the championship game. After 5 yards on first down, a swing to the flat. Santana Williams, looking a little bit like Santana Moss, making his way towards midfield. Close to another first down, and it's enough to move the chains.
Great job there by Santana on the little bubble screen there. Gets the ball, starts to dance, and then realizes I only need 4 yards here. 6 foot of dirt, gets north and south, picks up a big first down for Maryland.
Each team with long possessions, but they came up short with turnovers on fourth down in opponent's territory. And this dive play, maybe for a yard for the running back in Nasir Johnson, brought down by Jamal Goodson.
Nasir Johnson taken down by number 28, Brandon Feister.
A lot of personnel rotation with that Ohio defense each and every play.
3-by-1 here on second down. They're going to take a shot here.
There's 3 on the near side. Daly, pressure off the edges. Daly got out of the straitjacket, looking long, heaving it for his man. That is Cam Miller, and it's incomplete. He's got a good battle downfield going with Jaquan Gibson.
Good coverage on a long-lasting play there. Quarterback was doing his Houdini thing in the back there, scrambling in the pocket. Cornerback stays in coverage here. That would have been a touchdown. Great job by that DB.
So it brings up 3rd and 10. Right on the Ohio side of the field at the 49. A scoreless opening half to this point. And Maryland will call for time. 38-0 in the 6th grade championship, where we saw Dallas beat the team from Bradenton. And then Utah, 17-6 winners in their first ever championship in 3 tries at any grade level for the 7th graders. And Ohio has emerged over the last 4 years. The 10U level, they've won the championship a couple of times with the youngsters, and then the 6th grade on the stage a couple of seasons ago. Maryland has found its rhythm again at the national forefront. Out of the timeout.
Unbalanced. Wildcat, you know what's going to happen. Here comes big man.
Wills Dixon on 3rd and 10. They were ready for it all the way.
Yeah, they were.
Bring up 4th down.
Brandon Wills, Dickerson on the carry to the far side. Gain of a yard on the play.
A lot of you young players watching this game here, keep in mind these players have been going to FBU camp here for the last couple of years, and they've really elevated their game. If you're interested in coming out to an FBU camp coming up this spring in 2024, we'll be in 30 different cities. Go to footballuniversity.org. Click on the camp schedule and find where we're close to you. Come out and improve your technique and become a better player.
You are guaranteed to get better. Know that firsthand by watching through the years. On 4th and 9, they go Wildcat with the snap, and pops like a piece of popcorn off Wills Dixon. He has to just settle himself just to catch it. Fell down at the 44. Maryland will turn it over on 4th down again, and this time back in their own territory. Ohio has the football back.
Yeah, good job by the Ohio defense there, forcing Willis to understand, hey, his strength is north and south. He's not real good east and west. He had to roll out, and then they just all came. It was a Paul to get the ball there. So get the ball once again. Good field position, their own plus 42-yard line. Let's see if they can take advantage and get the ball in the end zone.
I'm surprised they went to that look after 3rd down. You got the arm of Daly. Maybe take a shot down the field. You're going to get pressure anyway. Maryland shows pressure here. Koustakis is barreled over. In the backfield comes the sack. Braylon Bates comes off the edge to bring down Koustakis at the 45.
All-out blitz here. Just didn't have enough guys to block all the guys coming here. Causes a big sack, and now it puts him way behind the chains. So here's 2nd and long.
That's a loss of 12. 2nd and 22. Elvis Koustakis, the Ohio quarterback. They've only targeted Amir Lemons once. He did pick up the fumble. That's really been his only touch with it the first time Maryland turned it over on a 4th down play. And Koustakis rips that. The slant over the middle is caught. It got most of the penalty back. Gibson in tight coverage does a nice job.
I know Ted Ginn Jr., he just saw Maryland in cover 0 in midfield against empty, middle of the field, no safety. I wouldn't mind getting that again and running that slant again because it's going to be there as he is in right now.
DeCarlo Rogers had to come up with a big tackle, or that could have gone for a lot more. They threaten the pressure on 3rd and 10. Koustakis rolls to the far side, delivering a strike, but it will tumble out of bounds. Couldn't secure it long enough. Trying to go right back to the well and Gibson, but it's incomplete. 4th and 10.
Yeah, a little bit of a chess match going on with Team Maryland and Coach Ginn Jr. here. They're saying, yeah, you go empty, we're still going to bring pressure, and we feel we'll get to the quarterback before we get the ball off, and that's why they're going 0 coverage. With no deep safety help, they've got an extra man at the line of scrimmage to bring the pressure, so it's just a matter if he can get time to get the ball off here. So watch for that game within the game between those two coaches right now.
He's the director of football development for FBU, Anthony Williams. I'm Neil Sika. 4th and 10, and much like the 7th grade game early on, a feeling out process. Played at a high pace. The quick kick, Koustakis. And it's fielded along the near side and into the Ohio bench,
Brought up the near sideline by number 8 of Maryland.
where DeWale Smith goes out of bounds after fielding that quick kick. He made the nice pass breakup. The last time Ohio was on the move. Maryland's got the football back with 5.5 remaining in this first half.
Start from their own 42-yard line. 1st and 10.
Last series, Maryland had some momentum with their Wildcat and Big Willis running the ball, going north and south. Probably see them go back and do that again. Try and get in the end zone here in this series.
Carter Daly going to start at quarterback. He's got Nasir Johnson with him. 3 receivers far side. I tried to slip on a pseudo wide receiver screen there with Miller coming inside it, and they had something, but the throw was low.
Yeah, Carter Daly, he's got to settle down. He's so rushing his throws that he's one-hopping them to his receivers. That play was open and would have got a good game, but got to give him a chance to make a catch there. So he's got to settle down and set his feet. Usually when you see a quarterback being inaccurate, it's his lower body. That's the problem.
That big-bodied offensive line of Bates and Nicholas Stevens. And there's Daly trying to deliver the mail and the opening score of this 8th grade championship. They'll run it this time. Good idea. Almost a first down on the carry by Johnson. He's to the Ohio 49. It'll bring up 3rd and 1.
Good job by the Maryland O-line there, creating just a little bit of a gap there. Johnson took the ball, picked up a good 9 yards here for a short 3rd and 1.
We go inside 5 minutes here in the first half. Neither team has found the final piece despite driving into the other's territory. They bunch up the 3 at the top of the screen. They go back to the well with Johnson. Easy first down and more. He got 7, and he's to the Ohio 43, moving the sticks.
Probably one of the best youth tackles I've ever seen was just happening on that play. Great call. 9's going downhill. Hey, hit, wrap, and drive, which is what we teach. That's a great tackle by that young man from Maryland or from Ohio at the safety position.
That appeared to be Jalen Edwards with that great form tackle it was. Cam Miller on the outside. Tucks in and runs for about 4.
Pass completed to Keith Miller to the far side.
You know, Neil, tackling is becoming kind of the thing of the past here because of all the restrictions and how much contact you have at the youth and high school level, even at the college level. That tackling is just, it's huge. And so if you want to be a great tackler, you got to practice tackling. Good job by both these teams so far.
And that's a great thing you bring it up. We'll get to it after this play. 3.5 remaining in the second quarter. 2nd and 7. The handoff to Johnson. Runs through the hole. Pinballs his way. He's got a first down inside the 30.
Nice here, Johnson on the carry up the middle.
With the game changing and the speed, how are you teaching that now at FBU camps compared to what you did 5 to 10 years ago? There are certain basic staples, yes, but how is that evolving for you guys as coaches?
We are teaching form tackling. If you can't form tackle going half speed against a bag, you're never going to be a great tackler going full speed. So you got to teach the kids one safety, head up, hit, wrap, and drive, eyes that you see, hit what you see, keep your head up. And that's kind of the main things we teach, but against bags.
The 3 receivers come to the near side. Johnson's running, allowed him to pick up another first down. That's another big hit with the pass in the flat. Heading out in the direction of Santana Williams, but bottled up once more by the Ohio secondary. And once more, it's just a great stick by Jalen Edwards, who's impressing many with his tackling techniques.
I'm very impressed, and not just with his tackling, but the fact that he came up with outside leverage. As cornerbacks, their job is to keep everything outside in, and as a former linebacker, I always looked at inside out. And so if you have guys in the right position, even if they miss, you know where your help's coming from. So great job by that kid coming up outside in on that leverage.
Michael Edwards is defensive coordinator who played at Glenville and then a little bit at the University of Tennessee. Went bar none. He is our most reliable guy back there defensively. Usually comes up with the big hits. There was almost a big interception. It went right through the hands of the defensive back. Tavion Lacey was out there covering the flat, and it went right over his head on 2nd down. It's 3rd and 11.
Young quarterbacks, we see it at every level. Sometimes they see the receiver, they don't see the underneath linebacker or safety, and that really could have been picked off.
Kind of been stop and go on this drive. A big chunk play and then stymied for a couple, Maryland, but they're moving closer to their targeted goal. That's a lasso tackle. Spiraling down on that run. Looked to be Brown on the carry. It'll be 4th and 11 with 100 seconds remaining in a scoreless first half. No points, but it's like a chess match, right?
Yeah, a lot of similarities to the last game. You get two teams with really good defenses and, getting after the ball.
So Daly with Nasir Johnson in the backfield with him. As a 4th and 11 at the Ohio 30. Up top looking for Cam Miller. Got it. What a catch. 1st and goal at the 6 for Maryland.
Great throw. We just talked about the lower body here. Great throw. outside and away on the fade route. Receiver makes a great catch on a 50-50 ball. Catch it at his highest point. It's a great job by that receiver.
He beat Cordell Scott Jr. and Cam Miller, their go-to target. His given name is Keith. They call him Cam. First and goal for Maryland with a minute remaining in the half. Nasir Johnson. Even if he broke it to the outside, he didn't. It was coming back. The tackle made by Jaquan Gibson, who's made a ton of them in this tournament throughout the last 3 years.
I don't know who Ted Ginn Jr., the head coach, I don't know who his defense coordinator is, but I tell you what, he's teaching these kids how to tackle, and they fly to the ball and finish. Doing a really good job in open field, and the hardest tackle to make is an open field tackle, so a tremendous job by the Ohio defense.
That hold will bring it back. Well, Jaquan Gibson is the type of player that can wreck a game from his roving linebacker secondary spot at any point. He made sure the edge wasn't set there.
First and goal from the 16-yard line.
One step forward, 2 steps back is how it seemed to be for Maryland on this drive, but they keep moving it. They're at the 16. Clock a factor. 35 seconds. It's first and goal. It's an Ohio timeout.
Timeout on the field, Ohio. Timeout, Ohio.
Once again, championship game. Coach sees something like, I'm not sure I like this coverage against that formation, that play. Let me call timeout and reset my defense. The big difference between 8th grade championship teams and non-teams here.
Take a timeout and download the official FBU app. Visit your app store and search.
Approaching halftime of this 8th grade championship. Another fantastic week of football in Naples and having to fight through the elements on the weekend. Gale force winds, colder temperatures. It was even cooler today despite being sunny. And a salute to any of those teams that were out along with the families and fan bases on Saturday when it was just miserable weather.
Yeah.
Sheets of rain, and a salute to you for the resiliency. Wildcat with Johnson. He took the high snap, and he took a nosedive out on the far side inside the 15.
Tell you what, both Ohio's corners are playing tremendous right now. And it really doesn't seem to matter who's there, but they are completely holding the edge. Nothing getting around them, which is critical to being a successful defense.
Timeout on the field, Maryland.
Maryland wants a timeout with 12 seconds remaining. And they have a kicker in Selvin Sanchez, should they choose to go that route. Or do they want to take a crack at the end zone?
I said at the last game, Neil, I mean, in a championship game, you got to take points whenever they're available. And so if they get a chance here to use their kicker to get a 3, it could be the difference in the game as we saw in the last game.
Darkness, it's settled in. This stadium began hosting the championships and the All-American Bowl in 2020, that tough COVID year. Next season will be the 5th in this facility. Gulf Coast High School had hosted the previous championships the 3 years prior. Second and goal at the 14 with 12 seconds. Daly throws. Miller caught it, but Miller is down at the 4. And we've got another Maryland timeout.
Good coverage, but a better throw and a better catch. It's a great job of that young man.
Lots of targets for Cam Miller in this game.
5 seconds left here, Neil. I mean, I think right now he's probably going to go for the touchdown here. You got to throw something in the end zone. You don't want to be short here, getting tackled at the 1 yard line. So you're looking for something in the end zone. 1, to try and score, and 2, to try and get maybe a flag in the end zone and get the ball at the 1 yard line. So hopefully, coach is calling a play for Maryland where he's going to get something in the end zone. Hopefully a drag, maybe somebody at the front part of the end zone, one in the back doing a drag, maybe with a tight end. But this play has got to be thrown in the end zone, hoping for two of the three good things happening.
Ohio will have the football to begin the third quarter. They won the toss and deferred, but they're looking for their defense to make one key stop before the conclusion of the opening 20 minutes, and they're going to go Wildcat. That look, will it be Johnson? Will it be Wills Dixon? It'll be an Ohio timeout instead.
Big time chess match going on. He was not expecting them to come out in Wildcat, and so he called a timeout to once again set his defense. The one play here could make a difference. So a great timeout here by the head coach, Mike Hagan Jr.
Guys who have had a long time on the football landscape, Terrence Bird, Ted Ginn Jr., and we're getting what we bargained for. Even though there's no points, Anthony, there's been a nice game of strategy between these teams that are very deserving to be in the 8th grade championship.
Oh, absolutely. As the director of the Freshman All-American game, this is the kind of game I'd like to see. This, like I said before, there's probably going to be a handful of kids picked from this game to play in the game next year, and I like what I see. I've seen some kids that definitely will be on my early watch list and might even earn an invite after the game.
He's Anthony Williams. I'm Neil Sika. It's been great to be with you throughout the course of these national championships, the FBU All-American Bowl. We thought you were going for 3 in a row last night. Oh, so close, but it was inconsequential. It always is the result, and good fun. And we saw a 21-11 electric win over Impact in the FBU All-American Bowl. Carter Daly takes the snap. Out of the timeout, they show a different look. The pass caught, and what a stick right before the goal line. DeCarlo Rogers did not get in. What a tackle on the outside edge by Alex Smith. And he keeps Maryland off the board, and we are scoreless at the break.
Tremendous tackle by that young man there. Love the call by Maryland. Flood action. Number 3 goes flats. Quarterback hits him in style, maybe a little behind him. DB is beat initially on that play, Neil. He closed while the ball's in the air and then finishes with a great tackle. And we had just talked about run something in the end zone. He didn't do that, and we end the half 0-0. Great job by the Ohio defense.
No points, great theater after 20 minutes of play. The 8th grade FBU National Championship. What does the second half have in store? Our coverage will continue. You're watching the National Championship on FBU on YouTube.
started with the third quarter of action. It is the objective of Football University to have tonight's game contested in the most sportsmanlike atmosphere possible. The officials have been instructed to tolerate absolutely no unsportsmanlike conduct from players, coaches, or fans. Violators are subject to ejection, and teams are subject to unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. We ask you, the fans, help us reach our objective by conducting yourselves in a sportsmanlike and respectful manner. Thank you very much for your cooperation, and enjoy the rest of tonight's game.
All right, welcome back to Naples and the Paradise Coast Sports Complex Stadium. Neil Sika, FBU's Director of Football Development, Anthony Williams. Second half, Ohio, Maryland, the 8th grade FBU National Championship. Will Maryland have their second 8th grade championship in program history, or will Ohio make it their first? No score. And despite really coming off the last drive of that first half, Anthony, a 2-1 advantage in possession time, Maryland held up by that stout and superb tackling Ohio defense, and they'll get the football. Team Ohio in all white with the red pants here to begin this third quarter. With speed on that kickoff. A real nice burst coming up through the middle.
Well, Neil, even though there's not a score right now, 0-0, but this has been a very entertaining game, and it really has become a chess match, which I love, especially at the youth level. Coaches are doing a good job making adjustments, utilizing their timeouts. You can see them making the adjustments both on offense and defense, because both these teams are very talented, and it's going to come down to maybe somebody busting a coverage or missing a tackle, because these are two very talented teams, and although it's a low-scoring game, it's been very entertaining.
Ohio set up from their own 44-yard line.
The question for Ohio, can they get Amir Lemons involved? They've thrown him one ball, and it was over his head. 7 up against that line of scrimmage. And they attack where the blitz comes. Breaking it is Elijah Harris. Harris all the way. No flags, 46 yards. Mentioned him in the first half. He's got the potential to be the next big star of the state of Ohio. Well, he's the next big star right now in the 8th grade FBU National Championship. 6-0 on the first play from scrimmage.
Hate to say it, but it kind of looked like, Maryland wasn't quite ready for that first play. I mean, it wasn't like it was a huge hole. He just ran through a couple tackles, and they just took it to the house.
They said he's raw, but he's real. And one of the new additions from
after the touchdown, Ohio set for the extra point. Maryland
down south outside of Cleveland. He went for 40 or 56 yards on that touchdown run. And now Ohio will play for 2. Koustakis on the boot and on the run. He's going to find the end zone. And the conversion is good. 18 seconds, that's all it took for Ohio to go up 7-0.
He surprised me with the speed right there. I didn't think he would be able to turn the corner there, but they ran a little play action, which I love, but the receiver was covering the back of the end zone. He tucks it, gets around the edge, gets a big PAT for his team. It's a great job.
Now there's Harris. Just like you throw sometimes into a blitz, they ran right where they had the numerical advantage into the coverage, and he took it down the sideline for the score.
Most of the time you have success when you run right at the blitz, especially with them being in cover 0 with no safety on top. So after that, once he broke the line of scrimmage, he was gone.
So we played 20 minutes without a point, and then it took 18 seconds for Ohio to go up 8-0, and that was the run on the conversion, so it was a 2-pointer. That kickoff bobbled a bit, and spilling over is Dewale Smith. But good pursuit down the field on special teams.
Great coverage, great tackle. First chance to see how Maryland's going to respond to adversity now. Give up a touchdown. See if they settle in here and go on a nice drive here against a very tough Ohio defense.
That was Gary Pritchard on the tackle. He also had the return on the opening kickoff of the second half that staked Ohio to good field position. He was wearing number 7 on our roster, so we amend that for you, and the Ohio defense is ready for the Maryland run into the interior.
Loss of a yard on the play is going to bring up second down.
So a loss of 1, 2nd and 11. And they've run Wildcat with Wills Dixon. They've tried to spread the field and throw with Carter Daly, but they haven't found the final piece. And now he's under pressure. Looks to the middle. Falls incomplete. Zaquan Gibson, he's in coverage. And the way the secondary covers and they tackle, you can really now start to maybe turn loose those guys up front if you're Ted Ginn Jr.'s team.
Yeah, great point, Neil. I was just watching number 14 here. Lorenzo Smith made the tackle on the last play, playing off of a block on an off-tackle play, put pressure on the quarterback on that one, made him throw it a little bit earlier than he wanted to. So, yeah, the defense starting to have an impact.
Ohio with the opening score. It took him 18 seconds to begin this third quarter. It's 3rd and 12. And even though it's early on, it's something you'd say a relative big play for Maryland's offense. They look to the middle. They connect. Nice throw, and Santana Williams sneaks into the open field down the middle for a first down to the 43.
Yeah, nice job running the skinny post here. Ball's up high, makes a good catch, moves the chains. They really needed that play to start getting some momentum going.
Jalen Edwards made the tackle. And that was a big needed first down for Maryland just to keep the football, and more importantly, the momentum. They've got 4 receivers. They've got Wills Dixon running, but he is lassoed down by Jamal Goodson. He's a bowling ball of a young man, but he had no fear going in to try and take down the bigger Wills Dixon.
Yeah, as I mentioned before the half, Wills Dixon definitely a north and south runner. A little surprised for trying to get him to go east and west. It's just not his game at this age right now.
And a negative play for the second time on first down on this series. 2nd and 13. That throw to the middle finds Cam Miller. He's to the Ohio 48. So he got a good chunk of it back. It sets up 3rd and 2 on the Daly pass.
Very impressed by Daly on that play. They had a wheel route that was kind of coming open. He looked at it, didn't like what he saw, came back to number 2. Nice little drag route, picks up 8 yards to make it a serviceable 3rd and a long 1.
3rd down and 2 upcoming for Maryland's offense.
So Carter Daly leads the team out of the huddle. Nasir Johnson in the backfield. 3 minutes gone here in the third quarter. Maryland down a score. That's always to the well. You can rely on Johnson. He's averaging about 6 yards a carry in this game. He's to the Ohio 45, first down.
Old school, nice little straight arm by the running back there to get the little extra time to get that first down. Maryland got something going here on this drive. Trying to get a response from Ohio's touchdown.
It's been their bread and butter play. Spread the field and then go a little delay to the running back Johnson. "56-yard touchdown run by Elijah Harris of Ohio. One of the new additions is the difference right now in the 8th grade championship. Daly Hands to Johnson again. Slips a few tackles. He's going right down I-75, and now the pile helps out to carry it further to the 26-yard line.
Off tackle right. Kid hits the hole hard, keeps his feet driving, probably gets another 5 or 7 yards after contact here. It's a great run.
19 yards on that carry by Nasir Johnson, who's having quite the ball game. A lot of padding of the stats for Maryland, but they don't have any points. That's because right around here is where the Ohio defense has stiffened so far. We're going to hit the first timeout for Maryland here in this second half.
Say it again, always watching players and coaches here, really impressed with both staffs. Maryland called a timeout there. Usually at the youth level you've seen, Neil, teams call timeout because they don't have enough men on the line or too many men on the field. These timeouts are being used to make adjustments based on what they're seeing from the defense and the offense. So really impressed with the timeouts and the adjustments that we see after the timeout by both coaching staffs.
I think you've gotten a full balance, and if you've watched the championship for years, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, just the small nuances that develop through one grade level. Sure, the skills, the size, they change, and that's a given part of the process, but just the little tactical adjustments, the intelligence, the football IQ that comes about is really something to behold.
Absolutely.
Daly on 1st and 10. He's looking to the end zone. That got crossed up in coverage, and it's an interception. Picked off Cordell Scott Jr. Well, I don't know if he was on the same page with his receiver, but he just heaved that up. And Scott Jr. with Santana Williams, who had kind of stopped. You could say it's as good as a punt, but Maryland needs points. And they've turned it over for the second time in this game.
We just saw an example for you young wide receivers here. If you're a receiver and there's a pass play called, you've got to think, I'm getting the ball. This receiver kind of gave up on his route, and the ball came inside, and he tried to recover, and that's the turnover at the 1-yard line in the red zone. That's a very tough situation there. But why the key point, receivers, be on the same page with your quarterbacks when you run your routes.
So a Daly fumble and now a Daly interception. That fumble did come on 4th down, though. And we're coming up on the midpoint of the third quarter. The benefit here for Maryland, you've hemmed Ohio in, but they leaked a bit for the first time on the first possession of the third quarter, that 56-yard touchdown run by Harris. Now what's in queue for Ted Ginn Jr.'s team? Koustakis going under center in a straight I formation. He's going back to his Jim Tressel Ohio State days in the playbook there to just make sure Koustakis secures it under center and doesn't take a bad shotgun snap.
Yeah, Wills Dixon with a nice play there coming off the edge, cutting the running back's legs out under him, keeping that to a short gain.
Koustakis all the way over to the sideline to take in the play. Jalen Edwards comes out. Jamal Goodson, who plays on the defensive front, maybe for some extra blocking protection for Ohio. And that defensive Maryland, Bray and Agbator, Bates, Wills Dixon. Can they come up with a turnover or perhaps a big play for the Maryland defense? Ohio will expel their first time out of this second half. So each team has used one.
Another timely timeout there. Yeah, it's middle of the second quarter or third quarter, but you're that close to the goal line. Ted wants to make sure that, hey, let's get the right call here, because if we get the wrong call, it could end up flipping the field here. So he calls timeout, didn't like what he saw, come up with a different play. Wouldn't be surprised if Maryland came out with a little bit different look. It really is a chess match going on between the two coaches.
A 5-year run of success in the FBU National Championship for this Ohio team. You saw the man with the red cap and the red hooded sweatshirt, Terrence Bird, who's been around this Maryland program
After the timeout.
since the 7th grade program began back in 2012. Helped lead that team to a title. They're going to hand here with blocking on the edge and some tough running out near the 14-yard line from Harris. And this guy, he's fine with being the workhorse now with the game on the line.
Once again, yards after contact. You young running backs out there, just because you make contact, that means you're going to have to go down. Keep those legs driving. Pick the big gain here. Now it's 3rd and 1.
Got tackled by Williams. The dive play over center is enough to move the sticks. Koustakis just going right over the top.
And that's going to be enough for an Ohio first down.
And a hobbled Maryland player and Isaiah Bray.
Come on the field for an injured player.
And he goes right back down. He was trying to hobble it off. And I hope he's all right. Maryland training staff will attend to him. And we'll pause. 8-0 Ohio with 4:05 remaining in the 3rd quarter here in the national championship.
And let's give him a big round of applause. He makes his way to his feet and off to the sidelines.
Isaiah Bray with some assistance got back up and is walking off. Maryland, the designated visitors, wearing the red jerseys. White and red pants
10 upcoming from Ohio's 14-yard line.
for Ohio. Koustakis with 2 in the backfield. What a run, just lugging the ball out over the 25-yard line to the 28. Jamal Goodson. Flags come in late, so we'll see what happens afterwards. But this,
Look at the leg drive. 1, 2, 3. I'm still driving. That is great effort by that young man.
well, it appears to be a 14-yard gain. So the offsetting personal fouls that come after the play, that's good refereeing right there.
Agreed.
After the run, it's going to be another first down, Ohio.
Jeff Sponseller, our man in charge of the Stripes, and our Naples Officials Association do a wonderful job and have throughout the course of the last decade. 10 seasons in Naples for this national championship. 13 overall for this 8th grade game. Flag coming from the back judge after that give up the middle. Doesn't give anything for Goodson.
Starting to see some extracurricular mouthing off, as I like to call it, on a couple of players. Young players out there, don't do anything to ever hurt your team. I know you want to react, but the great part of this game, if you want to be a big-time player, is you've got to handle yourself with adversity and making sure that you have composure to make sure that I don't do something that hurts my team, especially in a championship game, in a close game like this, late in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, 1 possession, and there's a lot of time left. 13 minutes. But the clock is running here late in the 3rd quarter. The first play from scrimmage in this period, Elijah Harris Took one off left tackle, 56 yards to the house. He's in the backfield along with Jamal Goodson. Elvis Koustakis. He's under center with a big front. Throws to the flat for Jalen Edwards. Slipped a tackle. Slips up the sideline. Got most of the penalty back after the holding call. It's going to bring up 2nd and 9.
I'll tell you what, Neil, it's nice to see a young quarterback under center. We hardly ever see that anymore. You know, everything's out of gun now, and it's good to see, hey, just a one-step drop, get it out to your receiver, let him make some plays.
You got to learn all facets of the game, right?
Absolutely.
Well, there's not much in the middle. Maryland ready for the run of Goodson.
Number 10, Jamal Goodson on the carry.
And they had Tristan Wells tuck it in to make the tackle.
Big third down here. Obviously, we talked about it before. If Maryland can get a stop here, get a punt off, probably going to get the ball in good field position and try and get in and tie this game up. But they need to stop here on 3rd and 13. And we have seen in this game, the previous game, some teams converting on 3rd and very long. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of play call Ted has here.
Well, if I were going to tell you that Amir Lemons, Middle School Player of the Year finalist, had 1 touch in this game, and it was after a fumble recovery, would you believe Ohio was in control of the game? Probably not. They're looking for him now. Koustakis on cue. Lemons unleash the fury down to the 5. 1st and goal. Give the people what they want. Amir Lemons, 1st and goal, Ohio.
Right on time, Neil. You just talked about they need to get the ball to his hands. Great little fade route here. Great throw by the quarterback. Once again, great effort. I'm not giving up on the play. Number 7 says, I need to keep this guy out of the end zone to give my team a chance, and goes back and makes a play.
Cam Miller saved the touchdown. But oh boy, what a big play in the passing game. That was a 68-yard toss for Koustakis. They were setting him up all drive along with that run, and then got the man coverage. And Lemons burned it over the secondary.
May have mentioned it earlier in the first half. Carter Daly is now, his feet are starting to sit now. He's been much more accurate in the second half than he was in the first half.
Koustakis in an I formation with pressure. Eludes it. Got outside. End zone. Open man. Caught. Touchdown. Jalen Edwards. Party is 6 for Ohio. 14-0.
Great job. My bad on the last time. I meant Koustakis. Another great job. Back-to-back plays. Tries to roll right, feels the pressure, goes left, keeps his eyes downfield, sees the receiver wide open, puts it on him for a touchdown. Very big-time play for an 8th grade quarterback.
And it's within a minute, the last minute of this 3rd quarter.
After the touchdown, Ohio set for the extra point. Maryland will set.
So run. And then the 2 big pass plays. Lemons, and now the catch by Edwards.
And Neil, reminder, this drive started at the 1-yard line, if I'm not incorrect.
You are correct. 99 yards. Koustakis. Oh, he kept his feet alive, but he's not going to be able to stay upright because the swell of Maryland players coming at him. Finally, Wills Dixon ends the thrust to get 2 more points. It stays 14-0. What an effort by Koustakis.
Yeah, and great athletic ability and balance, too.
29 seconds remain. A 99-yard drive. And the big 68-yard pass from Koustakis to Amir Lemons helps set up the touchdown. A 5-yard pass from Koustakis to Jalen Edwards. And that's where you really do salute the balance in the offensive play calling to set the Maryland defense up for those final 2 plays.
You remember what I mentioned earlier, Ted Ginn burned a timeout way deep in this part of the end zone to make sure he got the right plays that kept this drive going, which led to the touchdown. So once again, great coaching and great adjustments by the coaching staff at Ohio.
Yeah, I think he might have a future in that profession, just like Pops, who flew in to be at this game, the longtime great football coach at Glenville High School in Cleveland. He's won 2 straight championships. He's on the sideline for this 8th grade game. And Terrence Bird, a great coach in his own right. He needs his Maryland staff to really concoct something now after the kickoff returned for 10 yards to the 29. There's 20 seconds left. And now some barking going on at that sideline, on the Maryland sideline. Santana Williams might have said something, and Ohio players are clapping. There's just no place for the unsportsmanlike stuff, and the officials know that.
Composure, composure, composure. Can never be stressed enough, especially with older players, but especially with the young players. Learn it now so when you get older in high school, you won't hurt your team.
And so the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty
is going to be unsportsmanlike conduct against Maryland.
It's going to back Maryland up even further.
You know, we've seen throughout this game, Maryland can move the ball. They just haven't been able to finish and convert. They almost have to here as we close out the third quarter if they want to stay in this game.
Well, they need to have it now. They controlled the clock in the line of scrimmage against GFL. Had to battle their way around a tough Massachusetts team to win by 5 in the quarters. "20 seconds remaining. An empty backfield for Carter Daly. And they're a little undecided with their personnel, and they have to burn a timeout. They're down to 1 left.
Timeout on the field.
Well, that was a mess.
Yeah. And believe me, Neil, they're going to want that timeout later in this game, later in the fourth quarter.
They have 1 remaining. Ohio has 2. We've got 20 seconds left in this third.
Kind of see a difference in philosophy in the two teams with the head coaches and their defense. Maryland, when they go cover 0, Ohio's taking advantage of it. If you look at the Ohio defense, Ted Ginn, with very successful career in the NFL, he's like, there's no way I'm playing cover 0. He's always got a safety man deep, at least cover 1, and his secondary is very strong. So I'm sure you will see more of that here in the fourth quarter. You don't want to give a big one like Maryland just did for that last drive.
You could bring up some of the GFL title-winning teams, North Texas, Dallas in 2015, that were the technical and fundamental acumen that they had defensively in their multiple schemes was pretty impressive, and Ohio can maybe add its name to the list after this game. That was tight coverage, almost too tight.
Penalty marker flies in. Pass interference against Ohio.
Could smell the body spray on DeCarlo Rogers. Did Dylan Wilson in the secondary. And they'll get that flag every time. So a little bit out of the jam for the moment.
Gives them a little momentum on this drive here. This is, I would almost say it's a must-score drive if they're going to stay in this game going into the fourth quarter.
No, get no argument from me. They are down 14 with 15 seconds remaining here in the third. They stack on the far side. They delay to Johnson. And he'll run for 9. His longest run is 20, but they've not let him break the big one.
Yeah. Johnson has very good vision. And for you young running backs watching this game, you can be fast, but if you don't have vision, you're probably not going to be a very effective running back. The play was meant to go right. Didn't like what he saw. We teach running backs, run to daylight. He cuts it back, gets about 8 yards, and gives a team a chance to get a first down here.
Fantastic week of football in Naples. There's one quarter left of it here in Southwest Florida. And Ohio, 14, Maryland nothing, heading to the fourth in the 8th grade FBU National Championship. Neil Sika and AW Anthony Williams, FBU's Director of Football Development, start of the fourth quarter. And on 1st and 10, Carter Daly tossing it up, but it's a little shy. DeCarlo Rogers was the man he was looking for. And Cordell Scott Jr., who's got a pick in this game, lets it fall shy.
Good coverage here. I don't know if he thought that was going to be a back shoulder throw, but the receiver didn't have a chance to come back and adjust the ball. So going to 2nd and 10 here.
Cam Miller, Rogers, Santana Williams, they're all great receivers, but they've not been able to break the big play. And Wills Dixon, I think that's a bigger storyline too. Got a couple of successful runs in the first half on the Wildcat, but they knew coming in that was kind of their change of tempo type offensive formation, and Ohio's been ready for it for the most part.
Yeah, we haven't really seen it much then. We haven't seen that Wildcat where he was just getting north and south and picking up 4 yards a pop. It's not too late to keep running that, but if they're going to do it, they need to do it sooner.
3rd and 8. Carter Daly with 4 receivers out of the shotgun. Finds DeCarlo Rogers, but there's nothing more than the catch. It's a gain of 6. Cordell Scott, the way these defensive backs close on the ball, it will bring up 4th down and 4.
Gain of 2 on the play is going to bring up
Once
4th
again,
down.
Ohio, great job finishing. You heard Neil talk about, receiver catch the ball, guys there immediately, it makes a good solid tackle, so there is no yak, what we call yak, no yards after the catch. Great job by the Ohio defense.
Another massive play from Maryland. They need points on this drive, down 2 scores. 4th and 4. They're down to 1 timeout, and we're 90 seconds into the 4th quarter. Oh, it looks like they moved up front. I don't think the officials saw it. And Daly lets it rip, and it's knocked down. The coverage was spectacular by Jalen Edwards. He turned around for the football in the nick of time. Mark Green was the intended target, and it's a turnover on downs.
Turnover on downs for the Ohio defense. They'll take over 1st and 10.
Just blanket coverage.
Jalen Edwards with the blanket coverage, as Neil just mentioned, but also young DBs, you can't make a play on the ball if you can't see it. He was in phase, he turned and found the ball, got the PBU, great defensive play with great technique.
They didn't say, Anthony, they were going to play the tune of an FBU clinic, but you've got bona fide examples all throughout this game. And not to say the other teams haven't done that, but it is, at this speed level, is pretty impressive.
You know, Neil, you know this in doing and watching a lot of games. Technique makes a difference because you get to a level, the higher you get, the athleticism is a wash. Everybody's big, everybody's fast, everybody's strong. You got to have technique. That's really what separates you.
Elvis Koustakis hands it away to Elijah Harris, who breaks it open. Elijah Harris. He's going to go. Harris to the house. Touchdown number 2. 46 yards, and Ohio's starting to taste it.
Big time call by Ohio here. Went off tackle, Offensive line does a great job getting the hole. The running back gets through it, cuts back, sees an opening, and then just hits the Jets. Right there, you knew he was gone. Once again, good vision by the running backs.
No one's got a wider smile on that Ohio sideline than their head coach, Ted Ginn Jr., who was fired up. I mentioned in the first half, this kid's got the chance to be pretty special out of the state of Ohio, and he's got 2 touchdowns that have combined for over 100 yards on both runs here in the second half. 20-0. And a back-breaking run, really, if you're Maryland. The celebration will back him up. You heard that maybe over the public address. It'll go on the kickoff. Koustakis with flags flying. And the conversion is good for the moment, but let's check the marker. Jaquan Gibson made the catch.
Coming back, illegal procedure.
So Koustakis going to get a new play, and that's going to put the try back at the 8-yard line.
Neil, watching the replay of that touchdown, you saw Maryland, unfortunately, take some bad angles, arm tackles. Not going to happen with that good running back, and that's what caused that to be a big-time play.
So now the attempt, backing up further. Koustakis trying to make it 22. The running clock scenario comes in at 24 points. So at least Maryland will have that benefit still. But they only have one timeout. Koustakis kept it, lowered his shoulder. He got in. Oh, and he does the flex in the end. Elvis Koustakis is in the house. A 2-point conversion. There was a flag that came late. I don't know if that's for the celebration.
Wow.
And you hear the OHIO chants bellowing throughout the stadium. Tiny but mighty.
Yeah, perfectly said. I was talking in the first half how he was rushing his throws, his lower body wasn't connecting, it was affecting his accuracy. He's a different player this second half. And that right there, that kind of effort shows you that he's like, hey, I'm here to win this thing.
So we've got 2 unsportsmanlike conducts in the celebration for both the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. So in theory, if you're backing this up
to the 20,
to the 10-yard, are you kicking from the 10?
10 or 15.
So you go to the 25, and you're going further. Wow. Yeah, these are the 2 15-yard penalties, and Ouch. You're kicking at the 10.
That's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that.
First time for everything here for the FBU National Championships. Well, close enough. They'll spot it at the 12. And I know that 22-0 lead, that's a pretty big margin the way Ohio is playing, but that's a considerable field position swing. Should Maryland do something on this return?
And, Neil, 8 minutes left. I mean, it ain't over till it's over. No. I can't stress that enough to you young players watching this game. Wow.
So the kick from Lemons. And that's really good coverage, all things considered, to snuff it down at midfield. Could have gone for a lot more at the end, but Dewele Smith got it back to midfield. So Maryland does have good field position, but they're down 3 scores now. 22-0. Yeah, the 56-yard touchdown run by Harris to start the third quarter. He just had his second run for 46 yards, and then in between that, he got the 5-yard touchdown pass to Edwards, set up on the long pass to Amir Lemons.
Now, what Maryland's got to do if they're going to try and get back in this game, they got to play with urgency. It's almost like they got to be in 2-minute offense with 8 minutes left here. They got to have plays called and be ready to go.
Daly throws the slant. It's caught. Cam Miller down to the 41. That's a gain of 9, but time is a factor.
Yes.
Daly calls for it. Throws a nice ball, but that is into double coverage, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Jaquan Gibson. Well, we referenced he could change a game at any moment, and this is more about just securing what is already an airtight case for Ohio's championship bids. Now, there is a flag.
All right, I'm going to say this. I'm going to keep it real with you players right now. Everybody watching this broadcast.
That's an unsportsmanlike conduct.
It's unsportsmanlike conduct. You just made a great play to help your team, and you get a penalty. Now, let's fast forward. If you think you can do that in high school and still get recruited to big-time schools, that's not going to happen.
No.
It's about culture. It's about brand. And, yes, you made a good play, but if you don't know how to handle yourself and not embarrass your competition and not hurt your team, yes, it's 22-0, and, yeah, the game might be over, but you got to show, hey, Coach, I'm recruitable. I can make these big-time plays without hurting my team. I mean, we've got to stop this.
Yeah, well said. That's the third in a row after a big play for Ohio. So,
I mean, really, great play by the kid. Come to the sidelines, celebrate with your teammates and your coaches. Don't hurt your team.
Yeah, you can celebrate in 7.5 minutes. Not to say it mars this performance, but it is a little bit of a dent over the last few plays. 22-0. And you'd expect Ohio to work some clock now. Maryland only one timeout through the middle. They go with Goodson, who's the bowling ball type back. He's got about 3 yards.
Number 10, Jamal Goodson on the carry.
We talked about Maryland, what they need to do to kind of get back in the game. Now, Ohio, like you just mentioned, Neil, they're more playing the clock now. Let's run the ball. Let's think about ball security, staying in bounds, and we've got enough points to win here. Let's just try to run it out and get to our celebration.
3 turnovers they've forced. And another turnover on downs. This Ohio defense has been really putting on a master class when it's mattered most, even though Maryland's been in the red zone on a couple of occasions. And suffice it to say, Anthony, you forget they lost the 6th grade level, but last year, 7th grade champs, 8th grade, they're quietly putting together just in the last 4 or 5 years one of the great runs of any program in the 13-year history of the tournament. It doesn't get credited because GFL's been around longer, Dallas has been around longer, South Florida, but this is only the beginning. Clock running down to 6 minutes. That tackle in the backfield makes it 3rd and 12. Maryland holding on their last time out here.
You mentioned Ohio's defense has been consistent now going through almost 3.5 quarters now. Haven't seen that same intensity on the Maryland's defense. Some slip tackles, some bad angles that led to a couple of those big plays, which is why they're down 21-0.
Gustakis hits the middle on the drag route. It is complete, but minimal gain. About 4 yards.
Pass completed across the middle. Gain of 3 on the play. It's going to bring up 4th down.
That was caught by Gibson. It will bring up 4th down. And Ohio's going to punt.
If Maryland's going to have a chance to come back, they almost need this to be a punt return for a touchdown. I wouldn't be surprised if Ted hasn't told his punter to punt it out of bounds to prevent that. They're all going to get good field position here, but they really need to kind of put this in the end zone to try and get a chance to get the ball back here with an onside.
Amir Lemons has more punts in this game than he has receptions.
Who would have thought that?
But the reception that he had, you could arguably make the case that it changed the entire complexion of this second half. It was still a one-possession game. It was a 3rd down. Maryland had an opportunity to get the ball back. They go over the top And 68 yards later, Ohio finding itself on the way to 2 more scores to take full command.
100% accurate. Yep, his play changed the game. And yet another learning lesson for the young players watching this broadcast right now. It's not the number of touches or targets you get, it's what you do when you get them.
We've seen it with the freshman All-Americans, 8th graders that have flashed in the national championship before, the special caliber player that all they need is one play to make the difference and affect the game.
Yep.
Maryland has many names in their arsenal that can make this thing interesting, but they're inside of 5 minutes and down 3 scores. Daly had a high snap, throws it away. It's incomplete, nearly intercepted. They'll say out of bounds. Well, that pick nearly came for Chase Ivory.
Coach is not very happy with Carter Daly on that one. He literally left the pocket when there's no reason. I don't know what he saw with it, but he immediately started rolling out. He's got to stay in the pocket and try and drive the ball down the field for them to try and get back in this game.
.429 remaining, 2nd and 10. Maryland, this 8th grade team, with the throw over the middle, it's intercepted. What a pick by Bryden Feister. He's one of the new men on this roster. He takes it to the 49. A flag comes in late. Athleticism from the middle linebacker. Watch this pick. Just sat in the coverage. That's the 3rd interception. And the block will back this up on the return.
Neil sees me smiling because as a former inside linebacker, that is a tremendous play by that young man. We got to be tough against the run, but dropping into coverage and catching the ball in your hands and really showing some athleticism, that's a great play by number 28 there.
Well, it's been a great week. We've enjoyed every bit of it, whether we've been on the call here or taking in football and you coaching up the FBU All-American roster, but our coverage from Prep Spin and William Moorfield, the king of streaming. He really is. And it's great to work with William again and his great crew. Joe Allen, the main camera crew chief. Clyde Martindale, Christian, and Josh. Salute to you, gentlemen.
Great team. A+, top shelf every year with these guys. They do a great job.
And that goes at the top of Football University. Steve and Lori Quinn, Eric Richards, and the fabulous support staff that run the camps not only this week but throughout the year. Top Gun, and you're part of that, my man, and it's been awesome working with you for a 2nd year in a row.
I appreciate it, and I love what I do. I've been working with Steve and Eric for 15, 14 years now. They trusted me to kind of take over the development, the curriculum, and try and continue to elevate and keep things going, so I appreciate that. I love being around the kids, and I love working with you. It's been a lot of fun. Being up here is a little different for me. I love being on the field, but it's been a lot of fun working with you these last couple of years.
Yeah, you're a natural. I'll put it that way. 4:10 remaining. 22-0. Clock running. Just the 2nd time at the 8th grade level we haven't seen a team from either Georgia or Florida in the championship game. Last time that happened, it ended with a Maryland title, and they had a few down years after that 2016 championship. This delayed handoff. The crease comes for Goodson, and Goodson just bursts like a ball of flames to the 49 of Maryland.
Goodson has been so impressive today. I mean, he's not a big guy, he's not super fast, but he's been probably one of the more productive players in this game. Look at this, just straight north and south, showing some speed here.
But some of those early Maryland teams, they won the 7th grade title in 2012, but they were oh so close, and then they always seemed to run into GFL at the wrong time. They were stout and sturdy. They finally got over the mountain in 2016. Dropped off a bit, but Terrence Bird has them ready to fly again, and even if they may come up a little shy here in the final chapter of 2023. Kostakis hands it off. Goodson.
I mean,
He just got that first burst, too, after he will break off a tackle. Him and Harris have been really impressive. In the game, Ohio's turned the screws in the second half.
Yeah.
Maryland was knocking on the door, remember, at the end of the first half. And that timeout war that ended up changing personnel, and DeCarlo Rogers was snuffed out on a fantastic tackle.
At the 1 yard line.
Yeah. And Ohio has never looked back. 2:17 remaining. 2nd and 1. That give will go to Feister. Flag flies in. The ball was out. Was that a face mask or a hold that they're going to call? Feister says they grabbed my grill.
To the near side, penalty marker flies in.
Bryden Feister just had the interception that gave Ohio the ball back.
Personal foul.
It is a face mask on Maryland. And it's a first down, and probably will put the game to bed.
Yeah.
15-yard penalty, and that's going to be.
We appreciate everyone watching over the last 24 hours. The All-American Bowl in its 13th year. This is the 13th edition of the 8th grade FBU National Championship. And it's either been Florida, Georgia, Texas, or Maryland. Inland Empire
Yeah, they had a
and
little run.
SoCal had a couple of titles in 18 and 19, but first time the Midwest can really lay claim to a championship.
Pass to the back of the end zone. It's gonna go over
That, I think, is also very important, just expanding the base. You know, there's great football all around. And
Yes.
Ohio's been, you could argue, one of the top 5 high school football states in the country for the last 15, 20 years. You throw Georgia, Florida, California, Texas.
Absolutely. And for any players watching this broadcast, as we're about to close up here, if you're like, hey, coach, I want to be playing in this tournament next year, footballuniversity.org, not only do we have our camp schedule, but we also have all of the cities and all the regions that have an FBU, 10U, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade championship team. You can go try out. You can come to camp. These coaches are always scouting to find new players to add to their team, so that's a good place to go if you're interested in playing in this tournament next year.
Bryshon Scott adding to the wealth of running back talent that Ohio has. Well, we've got a hold that's coming back. 1:15 left. And, of course, this path for these players, freshman All-American Bowl, the national championship, the camps, Top Gun, but the ultimate for many of them, especially knowing that they may have the talent to go and further their football careers, that All-American Bowl in San Antonio, which is coming up the first Saturday in January, and I know that's something that excites you.
Yeah, that's part of our what we call the FBU path. So you mentioned it, FBU camp, qualify for Top Gun, freshman All-American game, National Combine, which as soon as I leave here, I'm flying down to San Antonio for that, and then ultimately the Senior All-American Bowl game on NBC. So that's the path that if you're an elite player, that's the one you want to go on. And a lot of talent that Neil has seen over the years and I've seen over the years with the Christian McCaffreys and the Trevor Lawrences, they've all been at the level. We've seen them go from youth to this game all the way up through this and then having a successful career in the NFL.
I got the Gatorade ready on the sideline. They're in victory formation. Ted Ginn Jr. is too fast for the Gatorade. Shouldn't they know that about their head coach?
He can still run.
Speaking of the All-American game, how great he was in that edition.
Yep.
I think he returned a kickoff. There he is.
Yep. My son, Aaron, that's part of FBU and my staff, he's coaches at the camps, played against him. He says one of the fastest receivers he's ever played against.
Yeah.
Just so super quick.
One of the great receivers to come through Ohio State in the last 20 years. He's getting those wheels going.
Too cold to get Gatorade bath. Let me run over here to the 20-yard line.
The horn sounds. Ohio is indeed the heart of it all at the 8th grade level. They are national champs. And quite the 3-year run for this program that is on the map from the Midwest. Their 7th graders take a title, and now many of those in 8th grade. Tenkin Jr. is still outrunning.
They are not going to catch him.
His players. He does not want to get wet. But his team dried out Maryland's offense with that defense. And Ohio wins it 22-0 to cap off the final of the 3 championship games. Dallas won it in 6th grade 38-0 over Bradenton. Electrifying Utah crowd and their stout defense and run game to get past Maryland at the 7th grade level, 17-6. Tenkin Jr. is going to run a hamstring.
Except from the stands, Neil. He's like, I am not getting a Gatorade bath today.
Might need Steve Quinn or Eric Richards to hold them down in the championship circle when they present the belt.
I don't know how Steve and Eric would ever catch him to hold him.
That's pretty cool. And you know it means a lot. And honestly, emulating his dad, who was so successful, who's standing out at midfield taking pictures. So it's a holiday season of coaching championships for the Gins, both senior and junior, here in Naples. 22-0 the final. And the spoils will come to the boys from the Buckeye State. And they've won it the 13th edition, and that's going to conclude our coverage. Once again, our prep spin team with an outstanding job bringing you the great pictures both last night of the FBU All-American Bowl and the National Championships. We thank our Football University staff. AW, a pleasure, and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and enjoy the bowl to you and the family.
Same to you and the staff here. Prep Spin, guys, great job. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having the old coach up here, having some doing some play-by-play with the profession of Neil, and it was a lot of fun. Looking forward to you guys being back here next year this time.
Some of the highlights that salted away the second half for Ohio, and their 22-0 victory for Anthony Williams, FBU's Director of Football Development. I'm Neil Sika, and we thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy the end of 2023 and look forward to bringing you the coverage of these 4 games in 2024. From Southwest Florida and the Paradise Coast, here in Naples, say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and good night